What would you do if your beloved sister, a mother of two boys, became depressed, so alcoholic?
I'll never forget the day I saw my sister Beth break. I don't think anyone could have imagined how much one loss could completely undo a person, not until it happened to her. Beth was always the strong one in our family, the one who held everything together when life got tough. She had a way of making you believe everything would be okay, no matter how bad things seemed. But when Tom died, everything changed. I remember getting the phone call from her that night. She could barely speak, her words fractured, caught between sobs. And I knew. The moment I heard her voice, I knew Tom was gone. The love of her life, the father of her children, the man who had been her rock for more than a decade, had died doing his job as a firefighter. He was Tom, the guy who always made you feel like everything was going to be okay. The guy who made me laugh like no one else could. And now he was gone. I rushed to her house, but by the time I got there, I didn't recognize my sister anymore. The woman I had known my entire life was gone. In her place was someone unrecognizable, broken, lost, devastated. When I walked in, she was sitting on the couch, her eyes hollow, her face streaked with tears, the silence so thick you could almost feel it pressing down on you. Aiden and Ethan were asleep in their rooms. They hadn't fully grasped it yet. They were too young to understand the weight of what had just happened. But Beth, she understood, and it was tearing her apart. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to fix this, how to make the pain go away. I'm her brother, but in that moment, I felt completely powerless. Beth, I started sitting down next to her, but I couldn't find the words. She just looked at me, her eyes empty, so distant. It wasn't like the sister I knew. I couldn't even tell if she saw me. She whispered, barely audible, "How do I tell them, Aaron? How do I tell my boys that their father's never coming home?" I didn't have an answer. How could I? For the next few weeks, I did my best to be there for her. I tried to keep things normal. I tried to help with the boys, to take some of the weight off her shoulders. But it didn't matter. Nothing could bring Tom back. Nothing could fill that hollow space in her heart. Beth started to withdraw even more. She stopped answering calls, stopped seeing people. She wouldn't let me help her, wouldn't let anyone help her. I tried to offer support, to encourage her to lean on me, but she just pushed me away. She didn't want to be a burden. That's how she was, always the one holding things together for everyone else. But now, it was like she couldn't find herself anymore. And then came the battle with the fire department. I could see the anger in her eyes when she read the letter. The cold, detached response from Tom's employer, telling her that his death wasn't covered. They claimed it wasn't related to active duty, even though he had died while fighting a fire. His job, the one they had promised to take care of her for. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to scream at them, but I knew it wouldn't help. Beth was already broken, and the fire department's heartlessness just made it worse. She cried that night, clutching the letter, unable to understand how something so unfair could happen. He gave them everything, she said, and this is how they repay him. And I could feel the pain in her words. But I also saw something else, something I hadn't seen in weeks. A flicker of defiance, buried beneath the weight of her grief. She wasn't going to just lie down and accept it. That's the Beth I knew. But as much as she fought, as much as she pushed forward, I could see the cracks. I could see how much she was struggling, how much she was still mourning Tom every single day. One evening, I came over to help her with the boys, and I caught her standing in front of their bedroom door, just staring at it. I don't think she knew I was there at first. Her voice cracked when she finally spoke. "I still can't believe he's gone. Every time I close my eyes, I keep hoping that when I open them, he'll be there, that I'll hear his voice again, that he'll walk through that door and take me in his arms." Her words were raw, bleeding with grief. She was so tired, so lost. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I wanted to hold her, to make it all go away, but I couldn't. I couldn't bring Tom back. No one could. She was getting stronger, though. Slowly, painfully. I saw her doing things I thought she'd never be able to do again. She started fighting back against the fire department's refusal to compensate her. She reached out to lawyers. She found some strength I didn't know she had, but I knew how hard it was for her. Every day felt like a battle she had to win, but it wasn't just for herself. It was for Aiden and Ethan. The worst part, though, was that no matter how much she fought, no matter how many victories she had, Tom was never coming back. No amount of money or compensation could replace him. She still mourned him, loved him in a way that no one could ever replace. And I could see the weight of that grief on her every single day. There were days when she'd look at the boys, and I could see how hard it was for her. They were growing up without their father. Aiden, who used to joke with Tom about everything, now spent his nights crying himself to sleep. Ethan, who was only 9, asked questions that Beth couldn't answer. One day, when Beth finally called me and told me she won the compensation case, I felt relieved for her, proud of her. But even then, I could hear it in her voice. The exhaustion, the deep sadness that never left. It was as if she had been fighting a war for months, and even though she had won a battle, the war was far from over. Beth isn't the same woman I once knew. She's changed, but she's also stronger. And through all of it, through all the pain, through every hardship, I've seen her fight. But she still mourns. She still feels Tom's absence like a wound that will never fully heal. And I hate it. I hate seeing her so heartbroken. But I also know this. Beth is an example of what it means to keep going, even when everything seems lost. Even when life seems cruel and the pain feels endless, she keeps going. For the boys, for herself, and somehow, despite everything, she's still standing. I just hope that one day, she'll find peace,